Hello, darling. Here we are. I'm very happy to have an opportunity to look at your chart. I know you've already had readings, but this is a very nice chart to go through with you, and there's a lot to have a look at. So off we go, and you are born on the famous last Saturn and Jupiter conjunction in 1981, and you've got it right on your rising Virgo, and you also have Pluto. So this is going to be great for 2020 when all these three go into Capricorn. You are going to be really in your element. So your Pluto and Virgo generation as well. We're going to go and have a look at all the planets. I'm just having a quick look here. You know that this is your musical instrument. You know that the houses represent the area, the scene that you are playing out on in life, particularly where there are planets. So wherever there are planets, this is really the areas of life that you are most concerned with this time. The planets are the actors, and they are, you have your personal, and you have your inner planets and outer planets. So you have your personal and interpersonal planets. You have the planets that represent your chakra system, and those which are beyond the visible. So those that are beyond Saturn, after Saturn, we have the three planets. Neptune, your imagination. We have Uranus, that creates change. And we have Pluto, which is our deep subconscious. So these three planets here are outer planets. Saturn and Jupiter are the last two, and your here we've got your root chakra, Mars, we've got Mercury, your communication, we've got Venus, your heart, your aesthetic values. Mars is your ego. It's very, very important. It's how we take action. But also very important to protect oneself. You know, we need ego. We need that root base chakra. It's our protection whilst we're in the flesh. We've got the sun and the moon, your solar plexus, and we've got the asteroids here as well. So the houses are the areas that you're playing out on. The planets are the actors. They show you who you are. But to find out who you are, these actors will take on the roles of people in your life. So typically the moon, the mother, the sun, the father. Mercury will be children. Saturn is the older people, the grandparents, the wise old teachers. Jupiter will be the jolly uncles. Venus will be the women in our life. Mars, the men. And again, Sun is fatherly figures, male figures, and more female figures. Okay, and the signs. So the actors are reading the scripts of the signs that they're in. And this is your soul, this is your guitar. You are going to, you have been tuned in with a certain sound frequency. This is the journey that your soul is asking for in this experience in the material realm. We can only have an experience in the material realm according to this musical instrument, and Earth, the Middle Earth where we are, is where we get to have a physical body and the opportunity to return to a higher spiritual frequency and to mix the spirit Saturn with the flesh and earthly desires of Jupiter. So very interesting that you are born. So you're born rising Virgo, You've got your Sun and Mercury in Cancer. So this is high cardinal. You're on the high cardinal. You're a grand master. And this is feminine water. And you've got your moon also in fixed water, feminine, and your rising earth, adaptable, feminine again. So this is very feminine energy, and you've got all your planets on this side of the wheel. So this is much more, this quarter here is more introverted. It's discovering yourself, your values, your personality, your communication skills. First house, personality. Second house, your values. Third house, your communication abilities. And then we've got this part here, which is very much the end of the wheel. This half of the wheel is going from the solstice of winter, and we're going towards summer again. So we're going through the death of winter, and in the rebirth. This 10th house represents how we are perceived by the public. It is our, this is government energy. This is the big boss. This is really the top of the wheel. But it's also the depth of winter, when life life is just beginning deep down in the earth. The 11th house is concerned with social communities, groups, being able to communicate with other people, making our dreams come true, friends. And this 12th house is really the unconscious collective. It's working for institutions. It's about being alone. It's about being isolated. It's about walking in the dark, finding the light switch. It's about faraway lands, PhDs. So this is very evolved, 10, 11, 12. And this is very much the beginning where we're discovering ourselves. And this is where the essence of all your wheel is taking place. These, high up, being a leader, big boss, energy and groups, and then learning to be alone and discovering our personality. Here, this is really the beginning of the spring on the rising sign, and this is, we discover as a baby discovers when it's born. It discovers it has toes, but it's not completely unconscious. This box is how we react. So to have Pluto and Jupiter in this first house, to have Pluto in the first house is, all your deepest subconscious, unconscious reactions, how you react in danger, how you react to other people is this unconscious, this Pluto. And he's actually on Spica. You've got a lot of important stars going on. We've got Mars on Sirius. We've got your Chiron, your wounded, where you most have to heal, on the demon, the beast, Medusa, Algol. We've got the moon on Antares. I hadn't noticed that before, but you've got Pluto on Spica. That's very nice. It's very artistic. This is really the star that harvests all the at the end of the wine season. It's the when all the fruits of this harvest at the end of the summer. It's where you really reap what you've sown. So to have Pluto here is very powerful. We'll be talking all about that. We're just having a quick look at the wheel before I get into it. So very feminine energy, and there's still, you've got your heart, you've got Venus in Leo, so that's fixed fire, masculine, and you've got your Mars in Gemini, which is mutable like Virgo. Virgo and Gemini are ruled by Mercury. And so Mercury is your ruling planet of the wheel in the sense that it rules your rising sign, and you've got your Mercury combust to the sun. So let's go and have a look at everybody here before we have a look at how everything is working. So Mars in Gemini. Gemini is all about the communication. It's about how we think logically. Oh yes, you've got your Mars right on Sirius and in the 10th house. So Sirius is the big, this is, this is where we get our word sir from. This is everything that's going on this year, because we've got the head and the tail of the snake on Sirius, as it was for 9/11. This is why it's such a massive year. This Sirius was the main star of the wheel. This is the great god, Sirius the Great, the keeper of the four corners. This is a military star. It brings great honors. It makes big leaders. It's the burning, scorching star. That's why we're seeing all these fires. That's why Notre Dame came down. That's why 9/11 came down. And you have got Mars, your ego, how you react when in danger, in this very communication, logic, energy of Gemini. So I'm going to be taking you to see more of that after as well, just looking where everything is. So then, Mercury is never very far from the sun, but you have got what is known as a combustion, but what's in Cancer. So Cancer is the solstice, the summer solstice. It's opposite Capricorn, and you actually have your head and tail. This is the backbone of the chart. This is the tail of your snake, and this is the head of your snake. So you have had past lives. You've had past lives in, normally Capricorn is at the top of the solstice and Cancer is at the feet, and they represent very much the energy of the mother and the father. So this is the archetype of the father, the archetype of the mother, and you in past lives have already been this very hard-working, big boss, quite cold, because Capricorn represents the energy of death. Capricorn is the crossover of the solstice line, of when the depth of the winter and then begins again the wheel here. So when you've got your tail of your snake in Capricorn, you've got a very hard-working, lucid, cold, all the energy of Saturn. It can be quite depressing. Anybody with this energy of Capricorn, especially South Node, so where you're coming in from past life, has a great ability to really to be a pessimist, and to see that life is difficult and one has to work alone, to grow up very young, to take on a lot of responsibility, and your job in this life is to move more towards this Cancer and to soften and to be easier on yourself and to melt and to find the ability to cry. And this is the kind of thing that happens when we have children. And I think that you have children, so that would have been your softening and coming towards all the Cancer mother energy. So very important, this tail and head of snake. And at this moment, we actually have and this is, we've actually got the head of the snake right up here in your 10th house. So this is a very important time for you. So interesting, because you are born with your tail of the snake in Capricorn, and right at this moment they're in the 10th house, which is the normal home of Capricorn, and we've got the tail of the snake in the 4th house in Sagittarius, where you have the head of the snake in Cancer, and this 4th house is normally the energy of the home, of our roots, of our foundation. So a lot going on in your home life at the moment with all the planets. I mean, you've had this going on for a long time, because Pluto has been here for almost 20 years, and Saturn has been here for nearly 3 years, and now Jupiter's in the mix, and this is everything going on at the moment. The Mad Hatter's Tea Party. Sagittarius is a teapot in the constellation, so everything is going on within your inner temple, and the big lunar eclipse coming up is going to be right on your Mars in the 10th house. So we really do have a lot to look at here. But you have, you really are going to be feeling very good when all these guys move into Capricorn. This is really the chaos for you at the moment, but when everybody moves into Capricorn, you will be ready to have this lovely trine and this wonderful working of you really taking on your role as the Pluto in Virgo generation to be the big creators of the new earth that we're coming into. So I know it's been difficult, but your time is coming, and all this feminine energy that you are, you can really settle down and become it, and your heart's not going to hurt so much after all these years of facing all these planets going over your heart in Leo. Okay, we'll keep having a look here. So Cancer is very, very sensitive. You've got the head of your snake here in Cancer, but you are essentially Sun and Mercury in Cancer. Now, Cancer's like Scorpio, where your moon is, and your moon rules Cancer, is very sensitive, rather secretive, highly emotional, full of fantasies, very, very moody, because the moon rules the tides, and it rules all the water in your body, and you've got the ruler of Cancer in Scorpio, and you've got Scorpio in the 3rd house, and the 3rd house is the original energy of this Gemini up here, where you've got your Mars. So you're very much on the defensive, because we've got this inconjunct line between that Mars. But anyway, coming back to the Mercury and the Sun in Cancer, you see, Mercury on its own doesn't really have that much character. Mercury takes on its energy from the other planets. It's the planet which deals with how we communicate, but how he functions depends on how the planets are aspecting and where Mercury is. So Mercury is ruling your Virgo and your rising Virgo. So we have a very intense Virgo. Although this is very sensitive and very feminine and very nurturing, you want to nurture the group. You want to be the soft voice for the groups of the people. You attain your goals from a sideways direction. Cancer is high cardinal, but it's not of this Aries energy, full frontal attack, especially as you've got your wounded healer here. You come in sideways. You think very much, and you strategize You've got great strategy of how you approach the group, but you want to be the maternal voice for the group of the people, because this is the 11th house of the Aquarius energy of the group. So because Mercury rules your rising, now rising Virgo is, again, it's this earth, down to earth energy of Capricorn. Virgo is all about work, what you do, your service to other people. But Virgo is also, especially at this time, we're ending 2,200 years of this very opposition of your horizon here, of Jesus and Mary Magdalene. Virgo is the forlorn lady that wipes the feet of Jesus Christ. She's the one who never gets married. She is that high alchemical, holistic priestess. She has to learn that you are in the energy of that pre-sexual young girl that finds, who's in that, the most plump, beautiful, perfect Amy Winehouse before she took drugs. We've got the two sides of the bipolar energy. All the mutable signs are bipolar, and we've been on the mutable age this past 2,200 years. So you hold very much, especially with all the planets, Pluto having been in Sagittarius, right on your solstice. You've got this mutable energy on your solstice and on your equinox. So it's been very exaggerated with Pluto having been here these 20 years. And so this forlorn damoiselle in distress, this is really in your face stuff, because it's in your unconscious 12th house, and it's also taking up your first house of your personality, how you react, what you look like, everything about how people perceive you, and you might not always be conscious of this. So you've got this grand conjunction that we're about to have again at the end of 2020, right on your rising line. We've got Saturn, the contractor, the denier, the one who says, no, you can't have that, the one that makes you doubt yourself, that makes you very stern, that makes you, very careful with your money, it gives you a lot of fear, because Saturn is in the 12th house of your unconscious. It's very scary for you to walk in the invisible realm. You like to know where you put where you put every foot. You need to feel very, very secure. And you have your expansion planet, your youth, of how you grow, also here, conjunct to Saturn in this down-to-earth Virgo. Virgo is the energy of Mercury in Gemini, is your logic, and in Virgo it's all about analyzing everything, putting everything into boxes. You have to work everything out inside your head. You want to, you're as a real detective. You really want to see how everything works. You like to gather information and to store it. But you have to grow up very young, very fast, because Jupiter is conjunct to Saturn, and this gives great balance between the expansion, desire, and the contraction of spirits. And also Vesta, this asteroid, which is already of the energy of Virgo. So that's quite nice to have Vesta here, but it just shows the importance in your life of finding a balance, becoming that high priestess of alchemical balance, finding how to be a master of your physical body. It's incredibly important for you, and your role is really going to start to happen from the end of 2020, because your time is coming, although it has been difficult with these squares being made. So the Virgo people get very worried. They have, you may often have intense intestines, stomach problems. You will stress about everything, and that overthinking and worrying with this square of Mars, your ego, and this is normally the house of Aries, which is ruled by Mars. Mars rules Scorpio and Aries, and you've been very wounded in your basic identity already because Chiron is here. So Chiron is wherever we most have to heal ourselves. So basically, you have felt neglected as this little child. Just feeling safe in yourself has been taken away from you. That baby wanting to touch its toes, to feel safe. You've had shocks, and it's been in the death and rebirth area of the 8th house. You've faced the demon, and this has brought a lot of fear. So Mars that rules Aries and Mars that rules your Scorpio, and this house, which is of this Aries energy, just shows that there's a real lack of confidence in what you look like. You may think that you feel that you won't like what you look like. You'll want to hide. This lunar eclipse coming up is going to be your absolute bombastic preparation for everything that's going to happen when all these guys go into Capricorn, because Capricorn is the big boss. Sirius is the military leader. I mean, you've got control issues, but you do this in a very sideways way, Cancer. And, in a past life, you were already a big boss, but you're having to, go through learning how to soften, how to let your emotions come out. You've been learning recently about your abilities. All last year, Jupiter was in Scorpio, and this was making a lovely trine to your Cancer. So last year, you were learning how to soften, how to be part of the group. And this coming next year, with this eclipse, you have to really focus right now, because and we've got Uranus as well at the moment going over your 8th house. So this is going to be you really stepping into your power as the leader, finding the best way to do that, because when you're born with a conjunct Mercury to the Sun, you've always done it in a kind of a sideway approach, and you're going to learn how to be a lot more full on without these unconscious risings of Pluto that makes you react quite strongly when you feel you're in danger. There's a very strong unconscious current coming up, and this will be playing out in the people around you, the people you're with, and yeah, it's what this is this and this. I'm going to be talking about this. This is a finger of God. This is a yod, and it's pointing right to this Chiron. Okay, a little look at Pluto in the 1st house. So Pluto in the 1st house may need to deal with issues of power, their own and others. The individual resents being controlled, and this may perhaps cause them to go to extremes in asserting their will, which often results in power struggles. They are profoundly influenced by powerful and charismatic figures, whom they model themselves after. For some who have this placement, the world is not seen as a safe place, and they keep tight control over themselves and others. So learning to use personal power appropriately is an issue for them. The person may also be a powerful individualist, but they can be hard to get to know deeply. Wherever Pluto is placed, it demands we get a life-changing makeover and don't take anything for granted. It is thought that the real path to transformation often involves a journey to hell, a state of containment in the darkness, and eventually new beginnings. Pluto rising often have a series of incarnations. Their lives fall into distinct chapters, each of which has a recognizable beginning and ending. They are one way for a few years, doing a particular profession, wearing a particular kind of clothing, exhibiting a particular kind of personality, espousing a particular set of values. Then something happens, not always visible, and they become somebody completely different. Now this is all because it's on your first house. And Pluto, the first house, is already the unconscious. Pluto deals with the subconscious. So because the first house represents that house of your identity, and you have got your wound, Chiron, in Aries, you are particularly going to, you're going to be attracted to powerful, dark people, or be afraid of these types of people, because as a young child, when you express this side of yourself, you would have scared yourself and felt that you can't express. You're already very secretive. It's all this feminine energy, moon in Scorpio, Cancer, Mercury in Sun and Mercury in Cancer. Virgo is very analytical and careful, and they don't want to make mistakes, and absolute perfectionist, wanting, inner feelings of guilt already with the Saturn just touching your arising in the 12th house. So this Pluto is very powerful. It's working very under the scenes, and you're going to attract people like this, accuse people of all these energies, until you realize that it's your powerhouse waiting to come into fruition. But until you can really own and use this Pluto properly, you're going to damage yourself with the types of people that you're attracting. And also, Pluto in first house in Pluto, you can come across as rather in-your-face kind of person with other people, but you do it in a very underlining way. You hold control in a very careful, analysing way, and you will accuse other people of that until you're aware of just, until and it's all going to happen. It's all going to happen. You're going to start using this beautifully, but you've had to go through a lot, especially with Pluto having been in Virgo and making this square to all this energy in the past, I forget how long Pluto's been. Pluto is 20 years in each sign, but it differs. It can be between 10 and I have to go back and check. But you've had a long period since pretty much since 9/11 till now of this adaptable energy, discovering yourself. So the individual will quite often have a powerful impact on other people. So you may have frightened yourself when you were young, but may also alienate them. In response, they draw on their own depth of determination and commitment. Pluto demands they find new ways to express themselves. Pluto in the first house is about self-discovery, and the person experiences a rebirth of raw potential, willpower, and restructuring of the personality. These folks have unlimited inner strength and energy that overwhelms everything. Positively, they can be a potent force for change, growth, and healing in the world. Well, all that's going to start happening next year. So this is you in the first house. You radiate intensity, and others' first impressions of you tend to be strong, one way or the other. You might often intimidate others with your manner. So this is something that you, being very sensitive, Cancer, coming in from the sideways, Scorpio being secretive, you know that you hold this power within you, but it's scary for you. And you try to hide this. So you will attract people who behave like that because you don't want to carry this weight. But when you become conscious of it, the shift will happen immediately. You can be very protective of your privacy, yet you generate much intrigue and interest with your strong presence. You might struggle with fears of being overpowered, rejected, or minimized, yet few are able to guess that you could be anything less than confident. Your first instinct in new situations is gusty and determined, defensive and intense. You rarely accept the obvious or the surface of matters. Instead, you look through situations in order to read any information on hidden levels. Strive to avoid getting your back up or viewing life as a battleground. Okay, so let's just go over how all this is playing out again. You are mainly focused in this life on self-development. It's all about discovering yourself, communicating in deep one-to-one relationships with people, very secretive, moon in Scorpio. This is very powerful, and Taurus. Let me show you a little bit. And Taurus. And Taurus is in the nature of Mars and Jupiter. It causes malevolence, destructiveness, liberality, broad-mindedness, evil presages, and danger of fatality. Don't worry about this. This is just the general energy. Everybody's got something on Antares, and makes its natives rash, ravenous, headstrong, and destructive to themselves by their own obstinacy. So now you're doing this in a very secretive, underground way because of this feminine energy. Antares is one of the Behinium fixed stars. Its image is a man armed with a coat or mail or a scorpion. It gives understanding and memory, help against evil spirits, and the power of driving them away and binding them. Okay, sort of a Martian nature. Now, what we've got is we've got this inconjunct line working between Mars in Sirius. So this is the high honors. You know, you are here to be a high honors, to be the big communicator, lots of success in business and commercial affairs. Sirius is really the king. It's the king of the four corners. And we've got this moon, this lunar eclipse of the century happening right on your Mars. And it's going to be affecting your moon here. And at the same time, Mars, look at this. You're going to have Mars on moon, and you're going to have moon on Mars. So, I mean, you will be feeling this coming up. And it's a very good thing that I've come to do your reading right now, because that moon has also just come off. You know, it came over your Chiron. It's just been on Aldebaran, on this gibbous. It's powering up all stations. It was right as I sent you a message last night, right bang opposite your moon on this gibbous, which is very powerful. It's, you know, very high elite rituals going on to pump up this Looney Tunes. So in your personal life, this energy is happening too. But what you must know is that although it's been scary for you to discover yourself, to be given such a high role here in the 10th, 11th, 12th, you've had to go through experiences all your life, because you're going to hit big time when everybody moves into here. But at the moment, your home, your foundations are being rocked, because everything is in Sagittarius down here, and this is the, you know, this lunar eclipse is happening right on your MC. It's affecting your feet, your foundation. Everything you've been through, Jupiter is coming up behind to make everything, you know, he's giving he's beneficial, he's going to bring luck, he's going to, all the stuff you've had to go through, all these years of Pluto being here, the past 3 years of Saturn being it's going to be 3 years, 2.5, 3 years at the end of this year. Jupiter is bringing you the gifts of everything you've been through if you've done the right work, which I know you have. So this is good that Jupiter's coming up. So this is, you know, this is your blast off for you to realize that you are the big communicator. You know, your situations with your brothers and sisters, you're going to be seen as somebody to be reckoned with your brothers and sisters. The pain you've been through, of losing a brother, this 8th house of death and rebirth, death, you know, where you've got all your wounding, your childhood hurts, having no self-confidence, because Chiron, this is your basic, you know, your basic security, your basic ability to feel I exist is Aries. Aries is the very beginning of the wheel. It's this first house. And you have a finger of God pushing you. Everybody, you've got, you know, your chart is, everything is coming from this wounded healer, Chiron in Aries. So I've got him up here somewhere. I don't want to accidentally shut something. Yeah, Chiron in Aries. Wants us to heal our old identity wounds and move forward. How do we move forward as individuals and as a collective? Okay, right, this is, you know, you can come and have a look at this. This is Chiron in Aries, is punk healing identity wounds. Read outside your comfort zone, look at you, do it yourself. Okay, that's Orlando is very Chiron and Aries. Okay, I don't know that book. Okay, I want to, this is not doing the personal energy. So basically it's and you see you've got it very close to Algol, and Algol is the big demon. So this energy, this female, this is the, you know, the absolute, this is what everything that we have to get through. This is the ultimate, the night, the, you know, the death and the rebirth. It's Medusa. You either get turned to stone. So you will be facing people like this. She will come up in unexpected, you know, in unexpected moments in your life, but it's something that you carry within you. It's associated with death, I know, you know, all the worst stuff, mirroring the myth of the hero Perseus' victory over the snake, everything we're living right now as well. Astrologers, of course, said that it was the most unfortunate, violent and dangerous star in the heavens, and it certainly has been one of the best observed as the most noteworthily variable in the northern sky. Algol represents the head of Gorgon Medusa, who was slain by Perseus. Medusa, who was the only mortal one of the 3 Gorgon sisters, was originally a beautiful maiden, but her hair was changed into hissing serpent by Minerva. Of the nature of Saturn and Jupiter, so you know, you've got all this energy. You've got Saturn and Jupiter working to Chiron. You've got Pluton. You've got this finger of God, which is working between your imagination, your creative ability. Pluto is on Spica, so there is great creative ability, writing, handicrafts, you know, building stuff with your hands, because Aries is the entrepreneur. Business, you know, because of this commerce, you have got a very, very strong business sense, big business sense. And now this can be business, working with people one-to-one, psychology, working with children, because you've got your heart in Leo, the teenagers. This is the children. It's also, you know, maybe you do have some ability of crafts that you're not using. I don't know how much you're using, because Spica is the poet, literature, arts. But Virgo is, you know, crafty, making things with your hands. And this first house is the builder, the entrepreneur. And Aries is the big boss, the leader. But you're going to be doing this in a communicative way. You may have healing to get through with your brothers and sisters, something going on with brothers and sisters. And, you know, obviously with the mother as well, there's lots of big planes going over. The mother as well, because of this inconjunct line working with Mars, and yeah, but just wait till the plane goes over. So there's a lot of you know, protecting yourself, hiding. You have great thinking ability, analytic ability. You've got this. You see, when Mercury is very conjunct to the Sun, it's difficult to separate, to decide how you're going to function. You can panic a little bit when you've got Mercury right, and you can get into worry and stress, and you don't have any distance in thinking about how to prepare to do things. You know, like not being able to sleep and getting very worried about things. You've got this this triangle between your Neptune in Scorpio. You don't have that many retrogrades. You've just got Neptune, that's all. So you've just got this very strong imagination as well. You can get lost in illusion, and this illusion is also working with Chiron, so he's pretty powerful. He's working here with Pluto in this yod. So, you know, you can get run away with your imagination a little bit, because it's like the only planet retrograde, but it gives great touch to your artistic ability, and to your compassionate ability to working one-to-one with people. But so this Mercury combust to the Sun like this, it also makes us not aware of how we're communicating, and this Mercury is ruling this Gemini and all this Virgo, so it can make you quite you know, it's very opinionated, so you very sure in what you think, and but you're, again, this Cancer is it's very nurturing, and this is going to be with this Mars coming over here. It can kind of be, you know, this shows it shows your relationship with your mum with this, because the Moon rules Cancer, and you've got this, you know, there's some kind of not feeling heard when you were young, and you see this is very soft, this is very tough. The Capricorn in your past life here, you were the big boss leader. You have this ability of hard work and pushing yourself and feeling guilty and always wanting to work very, very hard. You can soften now. Soften, let go. You need to find this childish energy of your Venus in Leo, and of this Aries, because Aries does everything without thinking. Aries does everything spontaneously and spontaneous, but Virgo can't do that. Virgo has to work everything out before, as Cancer too. Mars in Gemini is looking to control power here up in the 10th house. But you see, you have this ability naturally, and this is what you're going to start learning. And when you feel really confined, you know, you're going to meet, until you find this algol, you look the beast in the eye, the demon yourself, you will continue to go through death and rebirth situations in this 8th house, until you own this power yourself of algol, and you take responsibility, and, you know, stop feeling guilty and just let yourself go and have fun and take time, and just know that you have these, you know, these very, very big interpersonal abilities. You've got incredible logic and analytical intelligence, and your, you know, artistic ability and ability to have, have fun. You've got your Venus here in the 12th house, so you can work again in this unconscious. You can help people in difficulty, children. I'm looking more at kind of teenagers in difficulty, some kind of healing ability you have, maybe working with people with disability, handicapped people. This is how you could be using all this Sagittarius in this last year, by studying something else, taking on another study, to come into your power. Oh, I've got hunting dogs now here. Sorry, I keep having interruptions. I've had non-stop interruptions, from wood being delivered to planes to telephone calls to hunting dogs going past. Anyway, this is to give you an idea of your Mercury and your Sun in Cancer in the 11th house. And also you've got your North Node. So you have to come out of being so hard on yourself, being, you think that you have an image of being cold, but you have this beautiful nurturing energy, and also childish. I think that you may look at your mum and resent her kind of freedom and childish energy, to be creative and do what she wants, because you've got this Saturn in your first house. And you've got Saturn stuck to your Jupiter. You have to grow up very young, but you also have all this ability. That's where you most have to heal. And this is the energy of this 11th house. So with a Cancer Sun in the 11th house, you are becoming a standout among your peers while supporting and nurturing their growth. You discover personal power by becoming sensitive to the camaraderie of your particular group. Your central purpose is to bear your vulnerable self to the people who share your interests, your group, your club, your gang, etc. You shine by showing that you care about the support humanitarian efforts. Coming into your own requires letting your guard down long enough to form strong emotional bonds with the collections of people who run in the same circles that you do. Attaining self-realization means being gentler with yourself when it comes to achieving your long-term goals. Being you means forming emotionally supportive relationships with people who share your interests. So this is this 11th house here. So you see you've got this big responsibility, 10th and 11th house, out in the limelight, and you've been focusing all this time on healing yourself. This Uranus, you must have had a very big change in your life a year ago, when Jupiter was coming over here with the Uranus here. And you see, every time you have these big life changes, it's, you are changing personality completely every time. Your looks, what you look like, but it's always very hard, because it's in this child, it's the first house energy, it's in Aries, it's bringing up wounds from your childhood. You had to grow up very young, and you are allowed to let go, to relax, to not be controlling everything all the time, to let yourself become more spontaneous, to not look for these kind of demon energies of powerful people, because you are this big powerful person. This is what you see in me when I kind of stand out like the big warrior. This Aries energy is you. It's you. You've got this. It's this first house. It's that Aries energy. This is where you most have to heal. I'll see if I can find a better Aries and Chiron. Chiron in Aries, the identity wound. Chiron in Aries is where you feel you don't have the right to be yourself. Aries is concerned exactly with the affirmation of the self, but Chiron will challenge this affirmation of the self with the purpose of finding a higher order. Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. It's all about the individual, about impulse, passion, instinct, me first attitude. Aries is where we assert ourselves, where we go for what we want, where we draw borders to express our uniqueness. Aries is the very first sprout to emerge from the soil in the spring, choosing life, choosing to get out there into the world and express itself. Chiron is where we feel wounded, ashamed, broken, and inadequate. Chiron will challenge Aries' expression of the self, expression of individuality. Chiron in Aries is about the greatest wounds of all, the wound of identity. The wound of identity is when we feel we don't have the right to exist. This is the most painful wound of all because it is the most difficult to grasp. So this is what I mean when you're looking at your mum and she's just painting and having fun and she's got all this childish side to herself. This is what I mean. The planets are you. What you see in other people is who you are. You are allowed to express this Aries in you and this, very childlike and loving yourself. You've had to feel very grown up from a very young age. You've had some shocks in your life. You've been through big death and rebirth situations. And you're going to be attracted to people who are these big, leading, dominating kind of people, because that's also what Aries is. Aries is that childlike energy, and it's also the big leader. But this is who you are. You guys set up businesses, you're entrepreneurs, you build your own houses, you get up, you live spontaneously without all this nickety-pickety thinking of the Virgo, and you do things alone. You don't need to be with people. You do things alone as well. We are born with it. We are born with, okay, that's going to go. Symptoms of the identity wound. I am nobody. An overall feeling of emptiness and disconnection. I'm not enough. A desire to prove oneself. If I don't fit in, I don't exist. A desire to be liked by everyone. Yeah, that's the big thing with Aries. They hate it if they feel not liked. A tendency to copy other people, but at the same time, a lack of defining role models, a desire to remain unnoticed, a fear of expressing one's opinions and beliefs, difficulty to connect with one's body or feelings, or on the contrary, a continuous to prove one's uniqueness by behaving oddly, a tendency to hurt oneself physically or psychologically, self-inflicted wounds, abuse, or drugs, alcohol, medication, overworking, feeling numb. How to overcome the wound of identity with Chiron. What can you do about your feelings of worthlessness? Can you heal your wound of identity? No achievement, no money or success can heal this wound, because being you is not about becoming something you are not, but is about learning to accept that it is okay to be you. Exactly. Chiron in Aries will ask you to address and heal, once and for all, the wound of identity, a wound that we are all born with. Chiron in Aries is about taking responsibility for your existence. It's about being present with your wounds, with your pain, and with your shame. Show yourself despite the pain. You are going to feel it, no doubt, but no matter what, you need to show up, do what you need to do, take a step forward to be you. You are here for a reason. Your existence is the very proof you deserve to be. There is a reason why out of billions of genetic possibilities, it was you who made it. Yes, not only you have the right to exist, but you are here for a reason. You were born with a unique mission. You were born to express the divine in your unique way, to develop and share your unique gifts, talents and skills. You are much more than you think. The stars, the whole universe collided so you could be here today. When you allow your true self to shine through, there is no more pain, there is no more wound. You achieve self-realization. Okay, so you can go and have a look at that. Chiron in Aries, you are here for a reason, Astro Butterfly. But sometimes when it's not just me saying it, it just goes in more deeply. So there's also some passage of this algal beast, which makes for you scary to, to own that this beast is part of you. So This is the alcoholic, the drug addict. This is the mad witch. This is the crazy person. This is a part of you. This is your ability to stand up for yourself and to protect yourself. But you will attract, you will be, you can attract the wrong side of this algol of people in your life until you own this Aries warrior that you are, and you're just happy with yourself. So you've got all this ability, service to other people, very, very analytical. You do things incredibly well. You work so hard. You make yourself guilty. You have to have everything perfect all the time. You put immense pressure on yourself, but you have this incredible talent of doing things like nobody else. I have a friend with very similar this. Just, you're very good cooks. You're very good. Well, my friend is a very good cook, but anything crafts, art, anything with your hands, you can do very, very well. But you guys just lack confidence. It's lacking confidence, falling into some kind of abuse. Now, you have to be really careful with alcohol, with alcohol. It's really bad for you. But you see, Virgo is the high holistic priestess. It's the one who learns to be the big healer of self. It begins with self, and you may have a role, with other people healing. I mean, you definitely have a role for healing other people, either through, there's some kind of serious Gemini in the 10th house is communication. It's writing. It's having a blog. It's starting something up. It's definitely being seen, perceived by others as the one that people want to go to talk to, as the one people want to listen to. They want to hear you. And as soon as you kind of soften into this, just knowing how nurturing and that you can be a great person for the group because of your diplomatic way of talking to people, even if you have a very strong opinion, you've got your Mercury in the Sun, but you're going to show this in a very soft, nurturing way. Don't let your Capricorn scare you. That just gives you good barriers. It gives you, people look at you and they think you're a big boss. They're a little bit scared of you. They're intimidated by your depth. But you've got barriers, you've got very good protection around you, and you're really going to pick up on this when these guys come and have their big conjunction right in Capricorn. You're going to really hit off. But these years of having children and picking up on your maternal side has been all preparation for you to balance the head and the tail of the snake between this Capricorn. Healing of the mother and the father is always a big thing as well with the head and the tail. Always issues with mother and father stuff going on between, because this is the mother and father. This is you fully healing your child, being able to have that innocence again so that you can be soft with yourself and let yourself take your role within communities. Even having some kind of government role, something working for the community for sure. But you are seen by people as the messenger, as the mediator, and you've got great ability with children. You've got your big heart, Venus in Leo. This is very creative as well. You could go, I think that this year is a time to take up some more studies and really step into your power and not worry so much. Not worry, don't worry. All this worrying, all this overthinking, moon in the 3rd house. Very explosive. You see that there's Uranus is very close. Let's just check that Uranus is really in Scorpio. Sorry, computer does work very slow. Okay, you ready? Uranus. Right, so this is what I thought. It's not actually in Scorpio, and it's not that conjunct your moon. What phase moon? Oh my. Okay, you've got almost the giver's moon that you had an opposition with last night. It's just over. It's just half. It's going to come back to a full moon. Where's the sun? Yeah, it's not so far away from a full moon. It would just come over. It was coming over here. It's on its way to coming full. So you like that idea of going towards completing things. You are. It's not so much about starting. You want to complete and you want to finish. And so this third house it's all deep psychological relationships, thinking, and it's with this Pluto, this little this is some kind of problem again. It's your mother. There's some kind of identity, confusing your identity with the mother, or there's some kind of see, you have this creative ability, and what you're seeing in your mum is actually, it's all part of you. You have as big creative powers as your mum, and so until you're kind of happy with yourself about that and you tap into it, there's going to be, see, there's this inconjunct as well. You're jumping from this being great, communicating, feeling on top, feeling like you can be in control of everything, and then going into some kind of deep insecurities, overthinking. That's what this inconjunct line does. It kind of, we go from one, it's a real paradox. It's a paradoxal energy of feeling that you're in control, that you've got the hold of your thoughts, and being seen as the great communicator, and then hiding back in your shell of this deep inner thinking going on, and it can be really kind of destructive, because this Pluto, it's to do with your identity, so you can start to have very dark thoughts and go deeply, especially as the moon rules Cancer. So let's just have a look at, we've got the transitions out here, so I'm going to just check that you have got, by the time Jupiter comes over here, this time next year, you are just going to be feeling so good. And this year, make the most of this last mutable energy going over. There are changes still going on in your home life, in your foundations, and just keep expanding into this Sagittarius energy, because you are going to have this lunar eclipse right here, and this is going to be really about you preparing to take your big role when everybody comes into Capricorn next year. So this Uranus is actually in Libra. So you are going to be coming up for your midlife crisis. Uranus is, and you will be feeling the energy because he's now in Aries, and Aries is all the place that you have to go. So you've had Uranus and you've got Black Lilith in Libra. in the second house, in the energy of finding your value, making your own money, but you've got this energy. It's in Libra, and Libra is all about partnerships, marriage, the other person. So you've been kind of holding on to this energy here, making your own money with somebody else all the time, you know. And as this energy now of Uranus is in Aries, and it's just gone retrograde, it's going to go forward on the day after the lunar eclipse, on the 11th. It's not now, but in about 3 years, 4 years, we're going to have a direct opposition, Uranus to Uranus, and right on your wound. So these last few years is preparation for this blast off of you really stepping into your power, and that's going to be a big blast off when it comes. But for the moment, you're going to start feeling this energy. This is why it's called the midlife crisis, because you only have one opposition of Uranus in a life, because most people don't even make a whole cycle of Uranus in their life. So this is all about, when I think this is all about you as Uranus. It's all about you learning about I am that I am, coping with this childhood wound, finding this lost innocence, this spontaneous freedom, being softer with yourself, not being so hard with yourself, and coming out of too much bonding with other people in relationships, because you've been finding your self-worth. It's the second house of finding worth, and you've been doing it. Normally this is where we make our own money all on our own, but you've been doing it in couple relationships, because this is the Libra, it's the house of marriage, partnership, and Venus rules this house. So Venus is here in Leo, so you've got quite a lot of pride in your relationships, in how you're making your own money, and it's you're going to find more and more your ability. This is the 12th house of just being able to be on your own, being proud of this lion energy, being this that's very noble. You've got a very noble, it's a lot of pride. So just being able to stand on your own and not kind of being attracted to these proud people, recognizing that you are this lion. This is a nice energy between Venus and your Chiron. So everybody is going to start getting affected when Uranus comes up here. I mean, Uranus is going to just go woof on everything. So this is a very important time. And this, again, it's the 8th house. This is more absolute rebirth coming up for you. This is a very big time as this is coming up, but it's not, really going to hit the big D-Day and for another 4 years. But you're feeling it. You're tapping in. You're healing this wound, and you've got everybody down here at the moment coming over your feet here. And we've got this eclipse, the head right on your Sirius, and we've got at the same time Mars. It's going to be right on top of your moon. Yeah, it's all happening. So we're going to finish with a little tarot reading. So I'm going to come back to you in a second with the cards. Okay, I've pulled you a 1 card because we've already, I just felt 1 card today. I often do 3 cards. I pulled the 6 of Cups, and 6 of Cups represents water. Cups is water. And the title of this card is Sympathetic Attachment. This is among the most useful of the tarot cards with which to meditate. It relates to care for family or for some special association. The group is of far greater importance than the individual, who perceives purpose only in terms of service to that group. The individual is submerged in the collective mind of others to the extent that self-reliance may disappear and be replaced by reliance on the group. This may represent an important phase, as in the case of teenagers who seek out peer support, or it may constitute a problem. Attachment to external things, to people, and to possessions is very strong. Relationships are deeply felt, and there is sincere concern for the feelings of others. There is also a strong attachment to material objects, which may bring with them a sense of roots and of security. So, it always amazes me. So we've got this 11th house, we've got talking about the groups, the peer, that's what I was talking about here. Stand out among your peers while supporting and nurturing their growth. So this is what you're coming into by becoming sensitive to the camaraderie. So you don't want, this card is saying that there's a very big attachment to the group. It's very important to you. Right. And it's saying there are sincere concerns for the feelings of others. There is also a strong attachment to material objects. Well, this is all this, this is all material. This is all the earthly realm, Taurus, Capricorn. You've got your South Node. You're coming from a place of always wanting to feel secure, to have possessions, Uranus, and you've got your Black Lilith in the second house in Libra, but this second house is normally the energy of Taurus. It's I have what I possess, which is the third partner of the Capricorn, Virgo, and Taurus, where we had that moon last night opposing your Scorpio moon. So yeah, an attachment to the material realm is what this is talking about here, which may bring with them a sense of roots and security. So this is all your home, as I said. This is your inner temple. This is your home life. This is the foundation of your chart. It's the feet of your wheel. This may be a very positive card, one of selfless dedication, which earns the reward of protection from the group which is served. But taken to an extreme, there may be moodiness and withdrawal from needed friends and loved ones. There is here the potential for somewhat masochistic behavior. Okay, so this we know because we've got the moon in Scorpio, and we've got all this, that's what I said, this overthinking going on here, to an extent to even harm oneself or to be with people who have this energy. So, as well, this is the forlorn Virgo. It's opposing Pisces, your 7th house. Often people with 7th house, this is normally, so Libra, this is the house of our partners. Pisces is this invisible realm. It's escapism. It's drugs, alcohol, that kind of energy. So you're, sacrificing yourself for other people. This is that Pisces energy, being with some kind of, being attracted to this type of person. But for you to have Pisces here, this is just showing your ability to be of service to other people and to work. You see, for you, this mirror is quite scary because the 12th house and this Pisces energy is everything that the down-to-earth, practical Virgo is scared of. But you have all the ability with the moon in Scorpio and your sun in Cancer to go out to walk into this realm without escapism, or without attracting people who need to escape. You can, it's very difficult for Virgo rising people when you're very critical with yourself all the time, but this is going to happen. This is all about Uranus coming up here. He's coming up here And in 4 years, if you still are not stepping into your power by letting go, it's just, it has such a tough hold on one, this Capricorn energy. But you've got your Venus in Leo. You've got the ability to be child, to be the child yourself. And you just have to know, let's have a look at Sirius. I mean, Sirius is the absolute big boss. It's the brightest star in the cast. The nature of it gives honor, renown, wealth, ardor, faithfulness, devotion, passion, and resentment, and makes its natives custodians, curators, and guardians. It also gives, that's well connected. It promises fame, honors, riches. On the ascendant and with Mars combined, well, you've got Mars on there. Sirius can be quite dangerous. Pushing ahead with too much ambition is then seen. So, yeah, and there's this ambition energy comes back with Saturn. You let go, be spontaneous. That's what I mean. Don't be so hard on yourself. Just have the confidence in just being who you are is okay. Sirius will give beyond the grave. It positions at the 8th. Well, you don't have any of this. In good aspect with Mars and Jupiter and close to the MC. Promises of gaining extensive wealth. Well, that's you. Conjunct Mars and on the MC. So as soon as you are able to just be happy with yourself and your incredible ability of hard working, analytical and logic, this is what's awaiting you with Sirius. And this is where the lunar eclipse is on Saturday. This is why it's so good. So focus on all this. Focus. Sirius marks immense creative talents in any fields, and only with the warning that there may be more inner power that can be safely managed. So harshly aspect, it can show a psychotic person truly immense to himself and the community. So this is all the energy that you can fall into if you don't stand up and just realize you could spend a life doubting yourself with all this Virgo energy. I'm telling you, what you see in your mother is a lot of what you deny in yourself. Your mother has this childish ability, a kind of selfish ability of this Leo just being able to go and create and do what she wants. She's also she's got a Capricorn, I think, as well in the 10th house. So you can kind of be heads on, both of you. But you have all this. That's what I meant when I said military, lawyers, civil servants, working for the government. This is very, very big. It marks immense creative talents in any field. So this is why the elite use this star as their big boss, #1 star. So you're going to have to start knowing this about yourself. Okay, so you were pulled the 6 of Cups, sympathetic attachment. So you can detach now. Stand in yourself, don't be the groupie, don't want to people love you just for who you are, and they see you. It's just, people see how hard you work. It's just you are hard on yourself. And this time is all going to be freed up, and you're just going to feel so happy about being the big boss and just accepting who you are, that will allow you to soften into this Cancer and to know that your role is to be the sympathetic healer of the group. And you could go into, really you could do some kind of healing with crafts, with any kind of holistic food, health, herbs, with children, teenagers, the teenage energy. But you are seen as a big, powerful person. Look at this, Mars on Sirius. Okay, darling, I hope this has been useful for you. I'm sending you all my love, and we stay in touch. Especially I want to know what goes on after this eclipse for you. You know, this is really going to make the next 6 months for you. All my love. Bye.